Well, it's something I say all the time, and Tom, it's there's always a common theme, and honestly, it's the reason I have the podcast is to get people to understand that this technology, having technology doesn't replace human beings. You educate the human being how to double check the technology. So
Right.
when you just said about checking the points, having your first reference points in the morning to check, make sure everything is calibrated right, boom, away we go. There's still human interaction, and it's
Oh, yeah.
important. I just to hit on this point because people see this stuff, and you'll have people saying, well, but then you're killing the job. And it's like, no, you're just making somebody's job easier because that
Yeah.
person has
Look,
to be there, you know?
I've felt that, I would say when I post something on social media, 50%, like you said, are like you're taking jobs away, but then the other 50, like, we love this, we need this. And, right now with the with infrastructure bill, coming up and more construction is happening, we have a huge sort of skilled labor with surveying. So whatever we can do to help the market to have surveying tools, it's a tool. CivDot is a tool. It's not replacing people. You still have an operator. And in solar farm, we still have two nail guys walking behind it. The question is, are you following are you going to have, two, three crews walking around manually doing this task and being tired and, not, troubleshooting where the coordinates are, or follow the robot, let him do the math, let him do the hard work, and you just follow it and you do the simple part, in this case, nailing and overseeing the robot doing its thing. So you still have an operator. You you know, so instead of operating a handheld device, he's operating the robot. And I asked one of our customers the other day, you know, we had that joke is like you're taking our job away. I'm like, he's like, no, I like this. This is making my job easier, and I don't have to deal with all these buttons and try to look like. We simplified his work, and now he just walks after this robot, and he actually listened to a podcast while doing so.
Well, and so Tom, I want to see if your opinion on this is the same as mine. So one of the things that I constantly find is, you know, I see all this stuff on LinkedIn. If someone like you post something or I share something, and what I found is there's a common denominator. The people that are like, we need this in this industry are in the industry. The people that are complaining that you're killing jobs, if you actually click on their profile, they have nothing to do with the industry. So they comment on something killing jobs in an industry they're not even a part of. And I always ask the question, uh, if someone's going to be concerned about it, who I really want to start to talk to are the people that are hiring people for those industries. Because I can tell you personally, on side of mine for a landscaper, every year it's harder and harder to find people that want to cut grass. And I'm sure every year it's harder and harder now that they're trying to scale out and get as many cell or solar fields out. Probably the thing that slows their projects down the most is getting them laid out so
Oh
they
yeah,
can send through to install. Would you agree with that?
yeah, I agree with that. Our industries are, in the same way, conservative industries, old-fashioned industries, and less people want to do these jobs. But our communities and is growing. We are going to have more gardens. We are going to have more solar farms, and a bit different in that sense is our solar farms are in the middle of nowhere, middle
Yeah.
there's nothing there. So actually getting labeled there is even harder now, say for gardening, because they're in the middle of nowhere. So you literally have to relocate people for 6 months to a year. It's not only hiring them, it's also bringing them to these job sites and take care of them and give them, so they work for like, 10 days and 4 days off. And it's a schlep. People don't want to do this kind of work. People want to work on a computer, want to do work at a store, be part of a in the city life, and not like, the last job I was at was like 3 hours away from Austin, Texas, or like 5 hours from Austin, and like 2 hours from LA. Like, people don't want to, be in the middle of the desert and performing these tasks.
Hmm. Yeah, no, and the other thing I always laugh, and I think that you would probably kind of chuckle on this, but the people that I see leaving the comments, I'll notice they're like, you know, a CFO someplace, or which usually I think that they would see the value just from labor savings. But then I sometimes want to comment and ask, like, if they use like Excel and Google, Google Docs and slides, because I look at it and it's like everybody's so hesitant to automate like outside labor where you're working in the rain and the snow and dodging rain and stuff. But then the same people that seem to think it's terrible, I know they're all using a laptop with the best processor in it and everything that makes their job easier, because instead of long-handing equations, they enter a cell and they do the same thing 75 times in an hour. It's the same thing, right? It's the exact
Same thing. It's the same thing, man. I agree.
Yeah. So I just have to say these things out loud sometimes so people actually listen and hear them. So they, I have to get people to stop trying to stonewall these things that people like you are coming.
Yeah. I feel like, look, I feel like a lot of people who are, on social media are against these things and claiming these things are, like you said, some of them are, they're using technology anyway. But the other ones are actually, a lot of them are like,
media, right? They're on something that didn't exist 10 years ago.
So yeah, it's kind of like, it's annoying that way, but in the same time, it's good to have that, that ping pong. And, some of them, some of the customers that we've been to, like one of this survey crews was like, he was against that. And really quickly, I was able to bring him in. And I found out that actually his problem was the fact he's walking around with a bucket of nails that he doesn't want to carry. He's literally carrying a bucket of nails with him on the job site. I'm like, give me that bucket. I put it on the robot. What about now? It's like, oh, this is so much nicer. I'm like, yeah. And I brought him in. And now he's loving it because he doesn't have to carry the bucket with him anymore. He's not carrying, 30-pound of nails on him because we put that on the robot and he's carrying for him. So every let's say 20 points, he stops, takes 20 nails from the bucket, continues. So yeah. I got him to flip.
So how much does that bucket of nails weigh, by the way? Because I feel like that bot's pretty robust to be able to handle that. I'm pretty impressed.
They can carry up to 60 or 70 pounds, and that bucket was like 30.
Yeah.
So
no, well, and that's something repetitive that person doesn't have to do every day, and then
Oh yeah, he was literally carrying that bucket, and then like every 3 rows, he'll go back to his bucket and take some more, and walking around that bucket, and then every point, like drop the bucket, take a nail out of the bucket, and hammering. And now he just like, he has this like really cool belt that he has all the nails in it, like ready to go, and just like pops it, boom, pops it, boom. And he's like, so like puts 20 nails on him. He's walking free with 2 hands free. He used to have a handheld GPS in one hand and a bucket in the other one, and then hammer on his, inside the bucket as well. Now he's just walking with a hammer in one hand or free. You can put it in his belt as well, just nails, and he's loving it.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's kind of crazy because it's something you wouldn't even think about, but yeah, I mean, it's not only is it laying out the data points, but they don't have to walk around with the nails. And you could probably go a step further. I mean, heck, we've got robotic ball pickers now. We work with Echo Robotics, so we're picking up golf balls, 12,500 a day, and cutting the grass at the same time. And I'm thinking like, oh, this is pretty cool. I've got these robots. And then I see a guy golfing and there's a cart like following him. Yeah. And turns out I don't know if you, because I think about this with the bucket, and I think, man, Tom, you could probably just have your bots have a separate bot that carries the stuff behind them. It just follows the worker, and the worker never has to pick up anything. It like you walk and the bot follows right behind you. So anyways, it's just amazing times we're living in.